Hey, Brixel! So, I know that I'm stating the obvious here, but Final Fantasy XIV has a lot of content. Like, a lot. There is so much to do that even with thousands of hours on the game, I still feel like I've barely scratched the surface. And if I didn't feel overwhelmed enough already, they aren't done adding new systems. The Island Sanctuary is incoming, set to potentially add hundreds of hours of fresh Animal Crossing goodness to Eorzea, and this falls into a category of systems I definitely didn't ask for, but I ain't complaining. But with all that being said, this week I want to talk about an already existing system I really wish they'd expand on. Jumping puzzles. I've wanted to talk about this for a while now, and yeah, it's not exactly a massive topic begging for debate, but let's put this into perspective. If the ability to jump exists in a game, it's a mechanic. What devs decide to do with this mechanic makes the difference. But before we get onto this week's topic, if you like our content, ding the thing if you haven't already. We heard the like button's been saying shit about your mom, so you better backhand it. We release new MMO videos every dang week, as well as regular streams over on twitch.tv/brixelgaming. Big love to our patrons, and with that, let's jump into it. So, my history with jumping puzzles and MMOs can be traced back to a rather unlikely but not all too surprising place. World of Warcraft. I remember being 12 and running into some shady dude in a dark alley where he explained to me that if I repeatedly threw myself at just the right spot on the wall, I could clip through the map and explore the underside of Azeroth. So like all smart 12-year-olds, I took the advice of the shady alleyway prophet and I got busy grinding my face against a wall. Yeah, it was breaking the game, but the fact that it wasn't intended by the devs and that it was difficult to pull off made my 12-year-old brain see this as the equivalent of uncovering the holy motherfucking grail. So yeah, it was kinda stupid and very unintentional, but the lure of forbidden fruit had me and my buddies hopping around like kangaroos tweaked out on military-grade energy drinks, throwing ourselves at walls with gleeful abandon. Good times. A certain group of MMO designers seemed to realize just how engaging it all could be. When Guild Wars 2 first launched, jumping puzzles were advertised front and center. As a concept, jumping puzzles aren't really that different from the game-breaking WoW walls. Persevere, conquer the jumps, get to the top, and get rewarded with a sight that many will never see. And I've said it before, I think Guild Wars has some of the best movement and jumping mechanics, and this allows for ArenaNet to make what is, in my opinion, some of the best jumping puzzles in gaming. You may disagree, and that's fine, but I will fight you. I may not be powerful, but I am wily, and I will win. I'm all for games in the MMO genre learning from each other, and I personally think that a greater focus on jumping puzzles would be a fantastic addition to Final Fantasy. Okay, I hear you, but Brixel. Final Fantasy has jumping puzzles, and yeah, I know, but let's be honest for a second. Is anyone discussing the jumping puzzles in Final Fantasy in the same way that they do Guild Wars? Show of hands, who in the audience has actually done all of them? I was in a voice call with some buddies the other day, and between the four of us, we had tens of thousands of hours in-game. But when I asked, everyone admitted that they had never done the Kugane jumping puzzle, a jumping puzzle that is arguably the most popular in the game. So here's the obvious question. Why? Why does no one care about this while a 12-year-old me was willing to spend hours flinging himself against a wall for something that wasn't even intended by the devs? Well, I think I can break it down into 3 simple points. Number 1, the actual jumping mechanics in Final Fantasy XIV are... well, look, they aren't ESO bad, but at the same time, they don't hold a candle to the aerial movement in Guild Wars 2. Number 2, the jumping puzzles would be far more popular if people could actually find them. Like, here's a challenge for you. Try finding the Kugane jumping puzzle without someone guiding you directly to it. You may want to put aside a weekend and take some provisions just to be safe. The same goes for a bunch of other puzzles in the game. In writing the script, I found out there's a jumping puzzle in Ralgar's Reach, and I've spent a lot of time in Ralgar's Reach. Now, look, I get it. They purposefully made the puzzles difficult to find, try to give them a mysterious forbidden fruit allure, but holy crap, at least give us a few hints. And number 3, even if you do know where it is, there is very little reason to actually bother besides being rewarded with the view at the end. But I hate to be cynical about it, what's the reward of a pretty view in a game with flying mounts? But okay, all of this got me thinking, how would I implement jumping puzzles into the game? More to the point, jumping puzzles that add to the experience rather than feeling so tacked on that no one even bothers to do them. The answer, in my opinion, is fairly simple. As it stands, in order to unlock flying in any given zone, you have to complete a series of quests, as well as find a handful of aether currents. The lore reasoning is that you have to attune yourself to the aether in each zone or some shit like that, I don't know. And I think herein lies the solution. Why not add one jumping puzzle per zone that needs to be conquered to get to the final aether current? Think of it as a pilgrimage of sorts. Once you've completed all the quests in the zones and you're ready to move on with the story, you now have the option to climb the highest mountain, tree, tower, or whatever. It would make a great little cherry on top of each zone, letting you see the entire thing from high up for the first time. Then, you get to leap off into the sky. I think A, it would be a far more fun way of getting flying unlocked, and B, it would allow you to appreciate the zone from the ground and the sky before you get to fly freely. Now, yeah, there's a debate to be had as to whether or not flying mounts should be allowed in these puzzle areas. I'm personally on the fence. On the one hand, I'd like it if everyone was forced to do the puzzle to get flying. But on the other hand, I'm sure a bunch of people would just want to get it over and done with and probably see it as an unnecessary restriction, which I totally understand. There is also the argument of accessibility. It would essentially mean locking an entire quality of life system behind an activity that requires far more dexterity than the game normally demands, putting some disabled players at a disadvantage. So, obviously it's not a perfect solution. Frankly, I'm just tossing out ideas here. I don't claim to have all the answers. However, this definitely would be a jump in the right direction. But with that being said, what are your thoughts on the jumping puzzles in Final Fantasy XIV? Does the game need more of them? Do we already have too many? Are we about to fist fight over which game is the best jumping puzzles down in the comments? I'm sure you guys will let me know, so leave your thoughts down below and we can talk about it. Sub if you haven't already, and don't forget what that like button said about your mom. We have new MMO content coming out every week, and if you really like our content, maybe consider becoming a patron. A big shout out to our patrons, and a special shout out to our Guardian tier patrons, Anthony Hodgson, Liam Pullis, Luke Pretorius, and Reynard. Thank you so much for watching. I've been Brixel, and y'all know this is just my opinion, right?